Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Fallout Bar here from Online Darts in association with our friends over at BoyleSports. Myself, Jack Colby-Gar, we're joined once again by the very lovely Mr. Cam. How are we doing, buddy?
Not too bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, surviving, mate. Surviving. Premier League Darts rolled into Brighton tonight. First time in 5 years as the commentary team was so keen to keep reminding us. But actually,
You should have mentioned it, to be fair.
from a TV side, I don't mind it as a venue. It's one of the ones with a better backdrop, I think.
It looks really good, doesn't it? From like when it looks out from the stage back out into the crowd, it looks great.
Yeah, completely agree with that. A few of you in the chat room already. Jamie's in. Eric is clearly celebrating Michael Van Gogh's back-to-back victories. Spoiler alert, if you don't know what's happened, you'd be daft to be watching a review show straight away if you don't know the outcome of tonight. Michael Van Gogh, of course, going back-to-back in the Premier League. Dan says MVG is starting to look like MVG again. Whisper it very quietly, Dan. We don't want to say it too loud.
He's back.
Says evening. So does T Dublin. Great to see you, folks. Yeah, spoiler alert, Michael Van Gogh has gone back-to-back in the Premier League 2 weeks in a row. Unbeaten now in 6 in the Premier League. It's not the first time we've seen him go on that run, but it usually takes a little bit longer to get into that sort of stride in this Premier League because of the way the format is.
Yeah, just a little bit, but yeah, he's looking good the last couple of weeks, isn't he? He's looking like he loves a little short burst over 6 legs and just not giving people chance to settle or get into the game at all.
Yeah, I think that's very much the story of the evening's major talking point from this evening, Cam. Gerwyn Price withdrawing due to a hand injury. Now, states that it's not due to the boxing.
Well, he's going to say that, isn't he?
Travelled to Brighton yesterday, I believe, and drove himself there absolutely fine, but withdrew earlier on today. Pretty late notice, about 4 p.m, and he's also out of the Euro Tour for this weekend. Now, call me a little bit cynical, but when you're in the middle of training for a charity boxing fight, we all said this was a possibility. I'm not sure I believe that it's not due to the boxing.
Not even for a second. Like, you could tell me it was a leg injury and I'd still think he'd done his hand boxing. Like, it's utterly ridiculous that he's doing it anyway in the middle of the Premier League. Just wait till the end of it. There's no rush to do it. Like, it doesn't need to be done now. Wait till the end of it. It's ridiculous, and it's 100% potentially his hand.
Yeah, we need to be careful with that. But yeah, look, Jeff says absolutely a hell of a coincidence if it's not to do with the hand injury. And the boxing, I'd be very, very surprised, even if it wasn't something he's aggravated there and then made worse elsewhere, etc. That's just speculation. But if you're going to be training for a boxing fight in the middle of the Premier League campaign, and then you suddenly mysteriously pull out of a hand injury that hasn't actually been stated what you've done or how you've done it, people are going to talk. And that's exactly what we're doing now. There are plenty of others out there speculating exactly the same thing.
That's it, even if it isn't, and it could be anything. He could have flicked a dart out his hand and it's just tweaked something. It could absolutely be that, but people are going to believe that it's the boxing whether it is or not.
And I guess it's not really relevant right now, but if he had have won the UK Open and still been the reigning world number one, and then he'd gone and done this that would have cost him the Euro Tour this weekend, that would have been the defence, and he'd have gone out absolutely you'd be miffed at yourself, wouldn't you? Like, I get you're in the middle of the Premier League campaign and everything else, but it's too busy time of the year. You want to do that, you have to do it after Christmas or in the summer if you're not in the World Series events.
Yeah, it's not the right time to do it, is it? There's too much on the line. Like, surely he's not sat there now thinking, like, I'm happy just sitting in second now that I've just lost that world number one spot. He wants it straight back, so he wants to be winning every event he goes to, and if he starts missing them because he's injured his hand, it's or his wrist or whatever it is. It's not ideal.
Yeah, not ideal at all. Let's get cracking then, Cam. Let's go with the first game of the night. Poppy, you're in shot. First game of the night.
Professional as ever.
Yeah, there we go. Nothing but professional here online. Marcus Smith, pretty comfortable first victory of the evening, Cam, taking on Gary Anderson. Just a mid-80s average from the Flying Scotsman. Not Marcus Smith's brilliant free-flowing best, but every time he was afforded an opportunity against Gary, he took it. And let's be honest, it was quite frequent.
Yeah, I mean, 12 out of 13 missed darts with a double from Gary is probably why he's got an 85 average there in the end. He probably didn't play quite as badly as that, but when you don't hit anything almost on the outer ring, you're going to struggle. And Michael Smith just straight in there, 90 average, 40% is going to beat that every single time. And it was as comfortable as it kind of looked.
Yeah, plenty to talk about. Michael Smith just getting straight back up on the proverbial horse after the weekend. Another final loss to Danny Noppert in the UK Open. Took it pretty hard. Lots of trolling on social media because of it also. But look, just to get back up on stage, to get over the line in that first match would have been crucial for him.
Yeah, of course it was. He needed a good run today. If he'd been on the wrong end of a 6-1 today, it could have kind of spelled the end of his run in the Premier League, and that it would have been hard to bounce back. But he needed to be back in form today, and I think he was. And to be fair, I think he played very well tonight, and it was what he needed, I think, today.
It was indeed. Look, we're going to talk about Marcus Smith a little bit more later on the show, but a word on Gary Anderson. He hasn't won since the opening week. He's now played Marcus Smith, who was struggling for form a little bit. He's had his first round match against James Wade once. He's played Peter Wright. He's played Gerwyn Price as well. Little bit concerned now about Gary, that he's not just surviving. He's not quite doing that Rob Cross, that mid-90s average, and sticking in there and losing the key moments. The performances are starting to get a little bit worse now, that just aren't that competitive at this level.
Yeah, it's in this standard and this short format, we're always kind of expecting everyone to average a ton plus over the short format, or close to it at least. And Gary's not been there at all throughout the entire thing. And it's one of those things where we always question whether he actually wants to be in the travelling circus and going round every week. And his performances aren't really doing anything to make you think anything but that argument, to be fair.
Yeah, he's always been one that's struggled with motivation, especially since the back injury, obviously 2016, 2017. Arguably the best player in the world at certain times, him and Michael Van Gerwen absolutely duking it out week in, week out, backwards and forwards. But that motivation, there's other things that concern Gary more in life right now than playing darts. And at that point, there was a lot of talk about players that had missed out on this Premier League. Arguably, Gary Anderson was one of those that possibly could have been in that conversation to go the other way. And look, we all know how good he is when he turns up. We all know how good that A game is, but you just want that little bit more from Gary right now. And it's just a little bit too flat, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And we all love Gary. We all want to see Gary at his best, because Gary at his best is something just magical to watch, and he makes it look so easy. And it's a great format for him if he is on song as well. This, where he could just rattle through everyone very, very quickly, but it's just not quite happening yet. But there's still time, and it can still happen. There's still a long, long way to go yet.
Yes, there is indeed. Right, let's move on then to match number 2, and it was the birthday boy. Happy 52nd birthday to Peter Wright. But that's about as enjoyable as his day got. That sorry little message from myself. First time introduced as the world number 1, and it ends in defeat for Peter Wright, thanks to a masterclass in finishing from Johnny Clayton. Because to be frank, the rest of the performance wasn't that great.
No, it probably wasn't, to be fair, and he was probably pretty much outplayed the rest of the match. But 3 ton pluses, 1-4-1, he just just completely sort of mugged him, really. And yeah, not really the birthday present he was probably hoping for from Johnny Clayton in terms of that. I'm playing a darts match on Sunday on my birthday as well, and I'll probably won't get afforded any luxuries either, and I'll probably get beat.
Yeah, but you're not going to have somebody rocking up firing 3 ton plus checkouts again, are you? I've seen the standard you play.
You don't need to
take out three in hand at a double finishes.
I don't even need that. Probably 9 at a double will probably get them over the line, to be honest.
Definitely. Look, 102 average from Peter Wright, 92 from Johnny Clayton. It's fair to say this was a little bit daylight robbery. Johnny Clayton just not knowing when he's beaten, though. There is a concern, though, right now that he's not quite hitting that top level at all. It's not even as frequently as he was. Since that week number 1, found his way in the final, obviously beaten by Peter Wright. The following week finds himself in the final again, then drops off the average. And since that week 2, those back-to-back weeks where the averages have been below 95, it might have been below 90 one of the weeks, we haven't quite seen the Johnny Clayton we got to know and love last year.
No, we haven't, but he's been that good for the last 18 months, 2 years, that he was probably due a little drop off and a little dip in form at some point, because we haven't really seen it from him. He's been like that for that level, and I'm not concerned at this stage. I think when he's still doing things like he did to Peter Wright when he wasn't on top form, I think it's not far away still, and I think we'll still see a lot more of it as we go through this.
We might indeed. Peter Wright, look, Peter Wright, and it beaten by a couple of moments of brilliance. He'll be back at be about, and I'm pretty sure he'll be in Germany over the weekend as well. Most of the field, to be honest, or not going. Gary Anderson, surprise, surprise. Game number 3, and once again, James Wade pushing Michael Van Gerwen, but moments of brilliance from the Green Machine, getting him over the line 6-5. Missed plenty of match darts in leg number 10 to allow Wade to take this to a deciding leg. But the Green Machine over the line, 6-5 win over Wadey, 96 average, plays 92. Wadey better finishing stats, keeping him in the match as per usual.
Yeah, typical James Wade. And yeah, I thought it was quite good actually to bounce back after letting Wade in to take it to a decider. The number of times we've seen James Wade then go and nick it in the decider with like a 1-2-1 or a 120 or something like that, to then go and wrap it up in the final leg, I thought was pretty good from Van Gerwen. I thought it wasn't quite as comfortable as it should have been, but it was a pretty good game as well, with a lot of ton plus finishes again, like 2 each in this game. We had 3 from Johnny Clayton the game before. It's been a bit of a masterclass on the finishing as well. And yeah, I just thought he did what he needed to, and he got over the line in the end when he had to. So
yeah, I think it was Wadey. It's a 1-2-1 early in the match, and Van Gerwen just responds in the following leg with a 1-2-1 of his own. I was like, no matter what Wadey does here, you just feel like Van Gerwen's got him covered a little bit. Let's have a quick look in the chat. I've seen a few questions. Where did it go? How did it go? Jeff, did Johnny have a new set of darts? Points look like longer points, more aggressive toward the barrel and a tad bigger. I don't think so. I think we just saw a lot more side-on views of the board today. They seem to really like that camera. I'm always a bit concerned about how every player, you can tell how their darts go in the board. If I ask Cam to say how does James Wade darts go in the board, or Van Gerwen or Keane Barry, you'll be able to put your hand at a certain angle. Yeah. Johnny Clayton doesn't really have that fixed point, does he? He does to a certain extent.
A bit flat, but then he can go up and over. Yeah.
But he is a little bit like that, and I think that's a bit of a concern for him. The fact he doesn't know which way his darts lie down 100% of the time is an issue. Add that to his counting, and that causes him a lot more trouble than it needs to be.
For him, though, it works sometimes in that the fact that he can get over or under a dart, so he doesn't have to switch away as much as other people do, which is why we see so many 140s from him and when he's playing particularly well. But yeah, I know what you mean. There's not a consistent, like, he sticks one in a certain spot and you think that's a 180.
Yeah. Mark says, didn't like the darts right, you said, and points looked horrible. Just a standard tinkering of Peter Wright. At least they were straight barreled. They were the stone grip that we've seen on the gold elements and that sort of thing. they were okay for me. Jamie Ward, number 5, top of the table, just again highlights the flawed ranking system. I mean, it's 5 weeks into a round robin, so I'm not really sure. Rankings have been a bit up and down at the moment. Van Gowen's had 2 good weeks. Wasn't great for the few weeks before that. It's just perhaps the weighting of the point system this time round.
Yeah,
I don't think Michael Van Gowen is the best player in the world right now. He's had 2 good weeks, yes, but I don't think he's the best player in the world right now. So being number 5 in the world.
No, if he runs away with it and finishes top of the table by a long way at the end of the league phase, then maybe I'll lean a little bit more towards that. But he didn't do a great deal at the weekend, and when it probably mattered a little bit more. So yeah, I'm not really one for that argument.
Yeah, and then final question before we do move on. Our point made. Wade looked pissed off at the end of MVG. I don't think this was aimed at Michael Van Gowen. Somebody started to boo James when he was on a double earlier in the match, and I think it persisted a little bit. They were definitely front row because Wade locked eyes with him after firing a double 10 at one point. So I think that may have been a response to that one. On to then the final first round game of the night. Obviously, there should have been 4, but there was only 3. No, that was the final.
Nope, you've gone too
game of the night. I'm like, where am I going with this?
I thought you were gonna talk about the 6 straight 9 daughters that Joe Cullen hit to beat Gezi Price 6-0.
It could well have been.
I mean, technically, as a 6-0 whitewash, that kind of is what goes in the books, isn't it?
I don't really know. Mark Smith, Johnny Clayton back out again before we got to see Joe Cullen. It's a long wait for Joe Cullen to start playing.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm trying to make. Comfortable win for Michael Smith, despite only averaging 89, 46% on the doubles for Bully Boy. A little bit lacking in the treble department. Started really slow, but still managed to build that lead against Johnny Clayton, and it never really looked like surrendering it.
No, he didn't. I think this was the one where I was probably thought Johnny really didn't turn up, to be honest, rather than the fact that he didn't play particularly well but got over the line in the first one. This one, it just didn't seem to be any real spark from him. I know he hit a decent 70 to keep the match going at 5-1, where it looked like
the leg before he missed exactly the same checkout. He pinned the treble 18, went 2 outside, and you're thinking you pin that one, it's 4-3 instead of 5-1 or 5-2 that you find yourself at, and we've got a game on our hands. But he looks a little bit flustered on stage to me at the minute. He doesn't look like that old ice cold Johnny Clayton that we've seen in the past.
Yeah, and I mean that final leg, like the Johnny of the last couple of years just pinned doubles for fun and doesn't have any. You don't very rarely do you see him messing around at the end like he did. And what was it? Was it 9 he missed? Well, 8 maybe, because he went inside on the double 1 first start. It might even have been more than that. I'm trying to remember now. I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, 8 missed. We don't see that from him. We don't see him ending up in the madhouse and faffing around like that. But yeah, it just wasn't great from him, was it? And Michael Smith did what he needed to do.
I've got to be honest, it wasn't the best night of Premier League darts we've ever going to see. There were a couple of good performances, but even when you look at it in depth numbers wise, it wasn't quite as, I don't know, top level that we expected. It was still good, it was still competitive. You're made by the fact that players are missing chance at the same sort of time, etc. But yeah, let's go.
I think from here though, it is where it improved a little bit.
Yeah, well, for one player to start with, and then the second player. Joe Cullen one of the worst averages of the night. Sat around for a long time.
Yeah, but I think
prize. When you're handed a +6 leg difference, the worst thing you can do is go and chuck away 5 of them the following leg. Don't get me wrong, Michael Van Gowen, 101.8 average, 54% on the doubles, including that 170 checkout. Absolutely lovely. But Joe Cullen just never looked like he was going to lay a glove on Michael Van Gowen. Quite an appropriate reference for tonight.
Allegedly. He just didn't let him get into the game at all, really, did he? And it was always going to be tough for Joe. You don't really want to be playing Michael, who's looking like he's playing fairly well, at the point where you've been sat around waiting for a couple of hours to actually throw a dart. Like, you can throw all the practice darts you want. He's probably possibly even thrown a few too many because he's been stood around for that long, and then you got to go out on the stage cold and you've not already been up there yet. He was always going to be struggling, I think, tonight, and it was just unfortunate the way it kind of panned out for him. He's gone out there and beat Gezi to get there. He probably puts up a better fight than that, but he also didn't give him much chance. The 170 was a bit of magic, wasn't it? On the commentary, suggesting that he deliberately went for the single 20 to leave the 170 rather than going for the treble to leave the 130.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. It was quite a...
no, I have seen him.
You're guaranteed your darts at it that way. If you go aggressive, you drag it into the 5 or the 1, you're not getting that visit. We saw him then try and leave it the following time from 230, drag it into the 5 second darts, didn't get that opportunity.
I mean, we have seen him before as well. I can't remember who he's playing now. When someone missed the 9 against him and he was on 181 and went the 141 route on the double 12 to set up tops. Anyway, that was, I can't remember who that was against now, but was it? Oh, it was, wasn't it? That was just absolute
quarterfinal drubbing.
Yeah, so I probably wouldn't put it past him actually going for the single 20 just to leave it, and not even because it's the easier target, just because. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Indeed. Word on Joe Cullen. That is now 3 weeks without a win since he made that run to the final. Average got a little bit worse this week. 4 180s, 4 140s, only 2 straight tons. It's the consistency that has always been perhaps missing from Joe's game at times. When he's on it, absolutely superb. But that B game has always been the worry and the reason why perhaps he hasn't made it through TV tournaments as much as others have in the past, or why it took him that little bit longer to really kick over the line. Can't afford to turn up next week with a similar performance.
No, and like we say, I'd kind of give him a pass tonight. With he was on. It was a bit of a tough draw in the way it fell for him, but you are right. Like, there are too many, rather than straight tons, there's too many 180s followed by 60 or 57 or 81s and things like that, where he was drifting a lot tonight as well. I thought there were quite a few treble ones and single ones, and I thought he just wasn't quite on it. But we'll see how he goes next week. We'll see how it kind of kicks on from there. But I think it was just a bit of a tough situation for him.
And we'll look ahead to that very shortly. But for now, we do need to talk about the final. And this is the first time that it really looked like top-level Premier League quality, in my opinion. Both players over the ton. Marcus Smith finishing 100.6, Mark Van Gogh 103.8. 6-4 victory to the Green Machine once again. I thought this was a really good match. Marcus Smith perhaps missed the boat a little bit early, found himself having to try and chase to stay in the match. Doesn't quite get there. I almost think that perhaps losing first or second round tonight would have been better for Michael Smith than to make the final and lose. But when he lost to Danny Noppert on Sunday, his form went out the window in terms of his action. He was chasing darts. He's getting them he's swapping them over in his hands far too quickly. He's just trying to get them out of his hand. He was panicking. He was scared. He was worried. He was all of those things that you cannot be as a calm, composed dart player that we saw in the World Championship final literally a couple of months before. Arguably the biggest game of his career up until that point. First World Championship final, fine, you get the experience. That. By the time you're in that second one, it's your 5th or 6th ranking final. That's the biggest game of your career to that day. And he looks so good in that. Danny Noppert, 6 weeks later, in what should be your easier one to get over the line. I think that probably played on his mind just a little bit. But he just started to, you see that shoulder starting to lean again after that third dart and get that walk going a little bit, dragging a few down, etc. To get to the final, absolutely superb. To lose it, I was a little bit worried about it before the day, but actually the fact is his form didn't disappear from him, didn't go away from him. The 1-2-6 was superb, had a chance at the 1-3-6 as well, and a couple of others that weren't a million miles away. It was a good performance from Smith in loss to a player who just played better than him for 2 legs.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly it. I think, yes, he missed a couple of opportunities at tops early on in early on in the game, but he was kind of they weren't really good opportunities, if anything. Like it was kind of he was behind and chasing the legs every leg because Van Gogh kicked off with 3 180s in the first 3 legs, was it? Or first 3 or 4 legs, and I think for me, I think it was the worst thing for him on Sunday was the fact that he was the massive favourite for that game, and everyone's saying he should be walking through it, and we all kind of thought he would do, and this would be the one that got him over the line. But I think that made it harder for him. I think if we'd seen him play Peter Wright or play MBG or play someone like that, we wouldn't have seen the drop off in his game that we did, where I think the pressure did get to him. But tonight, I thought he was really good, and I thought he didn't fall apart at all. Even when he was getting bashed up early in this final, MBG could have run away with it and beat him 6-1 quite comfortably, and then he fires back 5 180s of his own in, fires in that 1-2-6, which was a bit of magic, and then the 83 was very impressive as well, where he hit the treble 17, missed outside on the double 16 and started to walk because he thought it was in, and then just like without any real adjustment, just pinged it straight in, which I thought was very good, and that just kind of kicked him back into the match at that point. But I think it was just the best man won in the fact that he just played great.
Yeah, he did indeed. And look, I used this in jest a little bit last week, but after back-to-back victories, Cam, is he?
Whisper it quietly. Whisper it very quietly.
Whisper it very quietly. Look, still needs to go and win a big TV one for me this year. Obviously, we know that's what will be in Marco Van Goven's aims, but back-to-back victories on the night in the Premier League so far for the Green Machine, and now is a perfect time to hear from him.
Yeah, true. Let other people to judge about things like that. I know what I'm capable of, and I know if I play my game, they don't even have a chance. And we all know that. I said it so many times. It's more frustrating I have to defend myself constantly. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, that's the way where I'm a fighter. I never give up. Whatever tournament I'm competing in, and you have to keep believing in yourself, and that's what I'm doing. I've been there before, but I still was wearing Pampers that day. Do you know what I mean? So long ago. Nah. Do I class them above me in the world ranking? No, but it is what it is, and I need to make sure I do the right things at the tournaments that matters, and yeah, that's only up to me.
I was convinced I was going to be right things at the right moments then, but now he's saying the tournament that matter. He's been saying the right things for the best part of 18 months, if not longer, but now he's starting to add those performances and get over the line in those final games that matter. Look, the Premier League format right now opens this up massively for him, because in the old format, if he'd gone and lost week 1, week 2, etc., and then only get 1 game a week, completely different kettle of fish. But actually, this opportunity it's almost like a development tour for him. It's an opportunity to play week in, week out, and go and learn to win mini tournaments again. And it'll be interesting to see, with the absence of Gerwyn Price on the Euro Tour this weekend, if Marco van Gerwen can kickstart his campaign this year with a Euro Tour title, because we all know his prize money record on there is absolutely ridiculous. Right, let's look ahead to next week then, and in week number 6, the Premier League rolls around to my hometown of Nottingham. Hopefully we'll be there, just waiting on the nod from a couple of people, and then travelling to Newbury straight afterwards as well, actually, for the World Seniors Open Series next weekend. However, before that happens, Cam, 7 matches on the night. First 4 to look forward to. You know the drill by now. Pick us a winner from your first 4. Then I'll ask for your finalist from your 4 and who's going to win. Opening up the evening, an all-English clash, guaranteed at least one of them in the semi-final. Michael Smith takes on James Wade. A clash of styles, a little bit of a clash of pace. We've seen Michael Smith prosper from playing faster players the last few weeks, struggle a bit against the slower players like Danny Noppert in that final. How do you see this one going?
There's absolutely no chance I'm sitting here and picking James Wade over Michael Smith, not even for a second. I don't care that he's played slower. I don't care that he's been playing well recently, and I actually gave him credit last time I was on. No, for me, Smith wins 6-2, easy, comfortable. It
was all going so well. I was like, you know, I'll give you all of this. They just went, yeah, it'll be easy. He'll get a slap next time I see you. Say next time, the first time I see you.
I know, we've still actually never met.
We've still never been in the same room together, but yeah. I'll go with my boy. I'm going to say pitches it 6-5, stays close, pinches it on the throw. We will go James Wade in that one, just because of the way that you said Michael Smith. Game number 2, if it happens, a big if in this one, as Gerwin Price is. Sorry, just bear with me 1 second. Oh, press the wrong button.
While you're just doing that, I wouldn't mind seeing this as the charity boxing match, to be honest.
Yes, Michael van Gerwen is penciled in to take on Gerwin Price. Whether or not that goes ahead is a completely different matter right now. We don't know the extent of the hand injury for Gerwin Price. We just know he is ruled out of the Euro Tour this weekend. Cam, if it does go ahead, where do you see this one going?
I think I kind of just got to go on form the way it's going at the moment, and I think it'd be depending on. It comes down to a couple of things as well. I mean, depends how bad that injury is, on whether he can make it, but 2, whether he can actually do much practice this week as well. So while I think I'm just going to go on both of them being fully fit and ready for it, I think we'll see a really good game, but MVG just nicks it 6-5.
Oh, I missed a couple of predictions in the chat room. Jamie says Wade wins 6-3. Yeah, I'll stick with you, Jamie.
Is that where all 3 go?
6-1, easy. I'm a Rafa Nadal fan as well. Bit Federer, to be fair, but as long as it's not Novak Djokovic, couldn't care less. I'm concerned that Gerwin Price might not even be there. And at the same time, if he is there, I'm just not sure he's going to be fit enough and ready to go. Van Gerwen looks like he's on the ascent, especially if he goes and picks up this weekend's Euro Tour as well. That'd be a little bit of a streak for him. I'm going to say Van Gerwen wins this one 6-3. Game number 3, and it's 2 players that have taken a little bit of a dip in the last couple of weeks. Gary Anderson against Johnny Clayton. However, Cam, I think it's fair to say Gary's dip is a little bit bigger than Johnny's right now. But how do you see this one going?
Yeah, it is, and it's a little bit head over heart on this one. I really want to see. I want to see them both bounce back and play well, but I want to see it more from Gary. And Gary needs it more than Johnny does, I think. And if he does really want to be here and he wants to be in it, he needs a result this week. And I think maybe he just does it 6-4. Maybe it's just meeting Clayton at the right time.
Indeed. I'd absolutely love to go with you, but I just think Johnny Clayton's got that edge in those killer moments. His timing is a little bit better, or he can just go to the well that little bit more.
Yeah.
And just dig something out that I'm just not sure Gary's got right now. And I think that could well be the difference. So I'm going to say Johnny Clayton. I'm going to say 6-3 in this one. And then the final quarter-final of the night, the first round game, Joe Cullen against Peter Wright. I'm gonna tee you up this one. I'm going Peter Wright, and I'm going 6-3.
So going straight in there. Is that just because you didn't want to look like you were copying me? Because I'm going exactly the same as you. I fancy exactly the same. Yeah, I just can't see past him.
The world number 1 will want to start proving a point very, very quickly. If I'm not mistaken, when he first won the world title, did he not lose the next game? Or did he lose his first game in the Premier League? He went on to win the Masters, actually, maybe. I can't remember which way around it was, but he definitely lost one of the 2 straight after the big one.
I can't remember off the top
Lost his first game as world number 1. Don't expect him to lose many more when he wants to. So, semi-finalists, you've got Smith, Van Gerwen, Anderson, Wright. Pick your 2 finalists and a winner, please.
Smith gets revenge on MBG and wins this time round. And Wright beats Anderson. And we see Smith against Wright in the final. I'm going to do it to him again. I'm going to jinx him again, but Michael Smith wins the final.
That poor man.
Sorry, T in the chat before you even say anything.
That poor man. I'm going completely away from that. I'm going to say Peter Wright beats Michael Van Gogh in the final. I don't think Wadey beats MVG. I think he beats Smith, but not MVG. And I think Wright can be pretty comfortable in that half of the draw next week, unless Johnny Clayton goes absolutely berserk. That's about it for tonight's show, Cam. We smashed through tonight. Obviously, one game less to talk about. A big thank you to everybody that has joined us in the chat room, or if you're listening back as a podcast, we really do appreciate it. A quick reminder of a couple of things coming up for you guys. Saturday and Sunday this weekend, the women's series returns to the PDC. 104 ladies have entered into the competitions. Myself and PB will be streaming both days, Saturday and Sunday, in a similar coverage to what we brought you last year. Pro Tour Live, Women's Series Live, whatever you want to name it this year. So don't forget to join us for that. We're back on Monday as well for the live lounge ahead of a very busy week. The live league returns on Tuesday next week. Keep an eye on socials for a few teasers for the players that will be involved in the action next week. I don't know who they are yet, but I've heard a couple of names are lined up for this block, this phase, so it should be really good. And then obviously next week we head to Nottingham for the Premier League. We head to Newbury for the World Seniors Open Series, and we've got Pro Tour action as well. And obviously don't forget European Tour action this weekend as well. We'll give you some updates whilst we're live streaming, but for the evening sessions, you guys are probably on your own for that one. Massively appreciate you for joining me this evening, Cam. Absolute whirlwind of a show, but you smashed it as per.
Is this the quickest we've ever done a show, me and you? Because usually we just waffle on forever.
Could well be. And next week you won't have this pleasure, because I think either way I'm not going to be on it. I'm hoping to be at Nottingham for the Premier League, and if not, I'll be leaving after the Premier League with Phil Bars to travel to Newbury overnight anyway. So it should be the pleasure of Lee Boyce next week, if you fancy next week's show as well.
It may not be me either, because I am at Cheltenham next week as well. So.
Oh God. Lee and Charlie then, most likely. Is this the line that we're going to bring you next week? We will confirm that throughout. Massive thank you then, folks, for joining us. And all that's left to say is we really do appreciate you joining us. If you haven't done so already, please do drop us a like and subscribe to the channel. And we will see you all on Saturday for the Women's Series.